On this edition of Motorcycle Experience, the pride of the OPP gets a taste of the real world. While on this season's ultimate ride, we reach our ultimate destination. Then during our Wing It segment, touring expert Ken Edick creates his own isolation booth. And Shifting Gears editor Jenn Martin takes a closer look at high-tech rain gear. All this and more as Motovan presents Motorcycle Experience. Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week we'll kick off our show by sampling a brand new leader class roadster from the folks at BMW Motorrad, the S1000R. This sharp-edged, fly-by-wire, real-world street fighter was sent into the ring late last year. And at first blush, the tail of the tape would suggest that this is a stripped-down version of BMW's hugely successful racetrack-ready supersport, the S1000RR. But that would really be selling this bike short, because this thing is impressive. Sure, there's less ponies under the fairing than the RR, acclaimed 160 in all, and yes, the weight is there, it's 3 kilos more than a RR, but what really impresses here is the usable power delivery and the electronic goodies. Yes, it comes with the now de rigueur ABS braking and accompanying ASC automatic stability control, but you also get the combination knockout punch that comes with selectable on-the-fly DTC electronic power delivery modes, designed for both wet and dry conditions. And there's selectable DDC, electronic suspension setup modes. And if that's not enough leading-edge technology for you, you can also order the S1000R with an HP Gear Shift Assist Pro. Yep, it's all pretty trick. You don't have to take my word for it. Here's what loyal viewer Mark Russell had to say after a day in the saddle.
So Mark, BMW goes naked, 1000cc sport bike fun. What was your first impression when you saw this morning?
Well, it is totally fun. This is a new bike, and I'm familiar with the RR version, which is an awesome sport bike and winning races everywhere. This is a really cool version of it for like all-purpose riding around everywhere, anywhere. It's pretty comfortable. I can't compare it to the RR for speed or power, but it is incredibly powerful and fast.
Yeah, that motor is really, really sweet. Would you not say? There's no replacement for that displacement.
Oh no, and it may actually be better in the version in this bike than it is in the Hyper Sports bike. The horsepower is a little bit lower, but the torque is higher and it comes on sooner. You have a good variety of adjustments for throttle response that you can choose, and yeah, it's got more than you need everywhere.
Right. Did you like the sound of it? Because we were listening to you ride past, and it's quiet, but it does have a nice sound.
No, it sounds all rippy and snorty, and when you're slowing down, downshifting, you get little pops and crisp response from the throttle. It sounds cool. It's like a sports bike.
BMW, it's coming as most BMWs with those Brembo monoblocks, ABS.
Yep.
Lots of stops.
There's a lot of braking power. I think the brakes are linked front and back, and it's all electronically controlled because there's ABS, a lot of stuff going on in there, but there's more brake than you need. Well, sorry, there's never more brake than you need, but there's a lot of brake.
This bike comes just loaded with all kinds of controls, and one of the things you can access is the modes for the engine itself, and you can dial it back with the rain setting, you can go with the road, you can go with the sport. What did you think of the modes?
Well, I played with them as riding along, and I thought that was good that you could actually adjust while you're riding. So if you're riding on a highway and you're about to pull off on some two-lane twisty thing, you can make an adjustment to the way the throttle's going to respond to opening and closing. Or if it starts raining, you can actually select the rain mode as you're riding along, and it softens the response and I assume makes some changes to how how it's going to apply to the rear wheel.
Right, yeah, so you can certainly soften it up if you want in the rain, which is nice. It's not going to come on as hard.
Yeah.
How did you find the riding position? This is, you know, a little different. Like if you look, if you sort of turn your eyes one way, this way, you're seeing hyper sports bike, you know, and if you turn your look this way, you kind of go, oh, naked super bike, right?
Yeah.
Wide bars. How did you find that in terms of the riding position and the leverage?
It was pretty comfortable. This would be a good commuter bike for riding around in the city or the city expressways, because you're in a good position to be able to see around you, and pretty comfortable on the hands and everything. At highway speed without a fairing, you can sort of lean into the wind, and it was all around pretty comfortable, I thought.
Who would you recommend this motorcycle to?
An experienced rider, for one thing, because it's incredibly powerful. It's not the kind of thing you should be buying to learn how to ride on, or as a fairly new rider. Maybe somebody returning to riding and wants to use the motorcycle in a variety of ways. They're going to commute to work every now and then. They're going to go on weekend rides. It's probably not the best for a two-up ride for a weekend, but you could certainly ride into town to go to dinner with, you know, your partner on the back, and it'd be fine for that.
Yeah. What did you really like? What's the one lasting impression?
The smoothness of the power delivery.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I rode most of the day with the throttle thing set on rain, because it was just a nice cush delivery of the power. It's still, all the horsepower gets there.
Yeah.
So it's as fast as it needs to be, but it was smoother and more comfortable than I expect a sport bike to be.
You like it?
Yeah, loved it. It's a good brand too. I mean, how can you not like a BMW?
Nice job, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out today.
It was fun, thanks.
Hang in there. We've got plenty more experience still ahead. Next, touring expert Ken Edick doesn't wing it when it comes to rider comfort for the long haul. And after riding some 600 clicks northeast of Quebec City, Norm Wells and I finally reached the tip of the Gaspé Peninsula. Portions of this broadcast are brought to you by Harley-Davidson, BMW Motorrad, and Honda Canada.
Welcome back as Motovan presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now to get some valuable touring advice from a former motorcycle instructor who logged some 200,000 plus kilometers on his last Goldwing. But before we do that, let's catch up with Norm Wells and this week's ultimate ride. Today we've reached our ultimate destination.
So this season, during our annual fall ride, we're in the province of Quebec exploring the scenic Gaspé Peninsula, with our ultimate goal to reach the town of Gaspé and its famous Pierce Rock, located about 650 kilometers northeast of Quebec City. After a couple of days of solid riding on a pair of K1600 GTs, we set out today under a cold steel gray and sometimes rainy sky in the town of Saint-Anne-des-Monts, hugging the south shore of the St. Lawrence as we headed east. Now, after pushing eastward for a couple of hours, the sun has broken out just in time to announce our arrival in the town of Gaspé, leaving me to marvel as to what Jacques Cartier might have felt when he sailed into this region and named it for New France back in 1534.
Well, Norm, here we are. It's the end of day 3, about 4 p.m. Mission accomplished. We're in Gaspé, and I have to say we're right here on a little main street, and I'm surprised. This is not what I expected at all. This kind of looks like a mini version of Moncton.
Yeah, quite a bit so, and also the rest of the city as we were riding in, I noticed was like, wow, this place it's big.
It's big,
it's like
yeah.
a mini metropolitan, and not what I was expecting. I was expecting Gaspé to be quaint, quiet, with cafes by the water, and that was it.
Yeah, so, well, we just rode in here, and the sun has finally burst through. There's some blue sky, but man, it's been a crazy day right from the get-go. We started out at Saint-Anne-des-Monts this morning at 8:30. It was cold, it was damp, it was raining, and the first first half of our journey was just following the coast. Do you remember what that was like?
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, the mountains coming right to the edge and the road skimming along the side, and all the cute little towns that were hidden away in the coves, and then Grand Vallée, everything changed.
Yeah, we got to Grand Vallée, about a halfway point for us in the journey, and then all of a sudden the road kicked us into the forest and up the mountain, and it was another experience altogether.
That twisty road was some fun. I mean, it was just up and down and sideways, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool here. So it's a nice mix of the two for that journey.
I have to say, there was one little stretch in there. It was like just a ribbon. We were back on one of those old Mattel Hot Wheels tracks, and you took off. It was fantastic. And then I guess the big payoff at the end was just the last 40 kilometers. We actually arrived at the park, and that was like really scenic.
Spectacular view there, yeah. And it's been all the birds were dive bombing the school of fish with the big cliffs in the background. It was just really cool to watch.
Yeah. So overall, my impression of the day, it's just been a little bit of everything, but the standout for me has just been the scenery. It's been spectacular right through.
Absolutely, yeah. And even at the park, when we got to the park, we didn't go through it, but that's another option for you if you have time, because it dead ends on the north side and the south side. So another option for you is to go into the park, because that's where that real beauty was. So take the extra hour, whatever it's going to take, and get in there and do it.
Right. Well, I know you've mentioned our hotel is just up the road here, but still tomorrow we've got almost 3/4 of a day ahead of us to do some exploring in the region. So I say we go check in and get a bowl of soup.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow, let's see what we can see.
Perfect.
Fantastic day. Be sure to tune back next week to continue to follow along this, our 14th Ultimate Ride. And speaking of numbers, Honda Canada is celebrating the 40th anniversary of their iconic tour, the Goldwing. And as a result, we're celebrating the art of touring this summer with a segment we call Winging It. So Ken, this week on Winging It, I want to talk about rider comfort. How many kilometers do you have on this bike?
Over 160,000 on this one.
How much did you have on your last Goldwing?
270, 280.
Okay, so you've learned a few things over the years in terms of comfort for yourself, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things you've done to this particular wing to just make things a little more comfort on the open road?
Well, the first thing may not seem comfort, but it is for me if it involves safety. The convex mirrors that I ended up putting on there was just an awareness thing. When you're surrounded by traffic, especially when you get in towns, you don't always get that chance to do a shoulder check, but those little convex mirrors let you know somebody's there that the regular mirror wouldn't do.
Right.
So I put those on all my vehicles. Again, another air deflector is found immediately below that, and that's more in line with what the driver needs. I can direct that in right at me and not influence the co-rider at all.
Right.
Moving farther down, when you're on the open road and you want to change your feet position, highway boards, highway pegs, whatever you want to call them, are out there just to give you a change in your ergonomic style.
Right, and those will fold up should you decide to do some hotter turning and some corners?
Yeah, if you want to go and play with the squids in the corners, you fold them up and it gives you a lot more cornering clearance than they do in their present position.
How about your just your standard foot peg?
The standard ones aren't that much bigger, but they are larger than OEM. And it's sort of like in the long ride, if your foot is on a narrow point pivoting, that can become tiresome on the arch of your foot. If you broaden it just a bit, it makes it that much more comfortable. Then you can move a little more without your foot falling off the surface altogether.
Okay. Moving up even further, I see you've got your outlets there for your heated vest, etc.
Yeah, there's a number of reasons people can do this. I use them for both a vest. It's also my plug-in point for my battery charging in the off season, or any other appliance that I want to quick connect at 12 volts.
I see. And then finally, I see that you've added aftermarket grips.
Yeah, you know what? They're always trying to make the bikes comfortable for everybody, and then you put in your own personal touch. I liked a bigger grip, and these are much more rubber cushioned than OEM grips. And that vibration, that texture of the road can be annoying if you're out there for a long time. So this really cushioned it, and these two can be retrofitted to be heated at the same time.
Very nice. So all in all, what I see here is a lot of flexibility. You've added things that give you flexibility so you can move your body around, you're not getting stiff, you're not getting cramped, and then you're doing more things to isolate yourself from vibration, all these things that tire you out when you're out on the road for a full day.
That's right, and some will apply to some people and some will use a derivative of it, but anybody that's out there for the long term typically does a little tweaking on their own.
Very nice. Great job, Ken.
Thank you.
Still ahead, gear to help you stay warm and dry during a rainy ride, and the Ultimate Yamaha Challenge moves to the big city.
Welcome back as Motovan presents the experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now for this week's installment in the Yamaha Ultimate Challenge. Now, OPP Constable Anthony Mann is back this week on his Yamaha R3 and he's ready to rock. However, Matt Fletcher has a different idea. He wants to prove that practice makes perfect.
Recently, we've been working on improving the riding skills of Anthony Mann by putting him through a series of motorcycle riding skills exercises designed by Matt Fletcher at Yamaha Motor Canada. Matt had hoped this friendly little challenge would show us all how we can become better riders when we practice our sport. All you need is some open pavement like an empty parking lot and a couple of makeshift cones or pylons. Now, after completing several slow-speed challenges, Matt wants to demonstrate how all that practice pays off in the real world.
So Matt, here we are at Yamaha Motor Canada in Toronto. Why did you insist we shoot the last couple here?
Well, I think Anthony's probably done enough practicing by now at the airport. So what I want to do is bring him down here to Yamaha Motor Canada and put those skills that he's learned to the test in the real world situation.
Okay, so when we were up at the airport, when we were doing the practice sessions, we were using the cones, there was a lot of slow speed maneuverability stuff. Yep. Is that why we're in the parking lot?
That is. We're gonna put those skills to the test. So what I'm gonna ask Anthony to do is exit the parking lot over there, go down the street, come back into the parking lot, search for a spot, where at the last second I'm going to guide him into the last available spot here.
Right. So, well, rather than you waving your hands around and say park here, why don't we just say right now that Anthony should park it between the Audi and the Toyota over there?
Yep.
Why don't we just do that? Very simple, put him in that spot.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, Anthony, so if you want to gear up, head out on the west side of the parking lot and we'll just watch you put those skills to the test.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay.
Great job.
Pretty good, not bad. Hey, that was pretty good. You know, I was a little dubious about this whole thing, but it looked like it paid off in terms of the practice. Well done.
Thank you.
So that was pretty good. You know, I was watching you come into the parking lot and I was thinking, okay, we've had the slow cone maneuvering challenge, and then you had the circle challenge, and we're gonna put it all together, and I thought he was a pretty good parking lot attendant.
He was just missing the vest.
And the flashlight. So what were you thinking? What were you putting to use when you came into the parking lot?
Well, those challenges that we practiced really applied here. Coming into the corner and then the turn, good look, shoulder check, and then it was right to feathering the clutch and rear brake, and looking where I wanted to go.
Right.
And into the turn I came into. People need to remember that the parking lots, they're busy places. Cars are backing up. They may not see you. We're not as visible as a larger vehicle.
Yeah.
Pedestrian traffic, small children in between cars, we may not be able to see them as correctly. So we need to ensure that we're in control of our bike at all times.
Right. To me, it looked like you were doing just the right amount of feathering, rear brake, eye lead. You put it all together.
Came together nicely.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Well, I gotta say, Anthony handled the parking lot attendant challenge just fine. All right then, now that we've got you all fired up, stay tuned because next, professional riding instructor Jenn Martin takes a closer look at the latest rain gear designed to enhance your wet weather riding experience. Portions of this broadcast are brought to you by Harley-Davidson, BMW Motorrad, and Honda Canada. Welcome back as Motovan presents the experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and now that we've got you all ready to go for a ride, let's wrap up by paying a visit to the Toronto Motorcycle Show to see what's new in the land of rain gear. Joining us now is the Chief Riding Instructor at Georgian College, Jenn Martin.
So Jen, here we are at the Toronto Motorcycle Show. We're in the Harley-Davidson booth, and we've been poking around before the doors open to the public. And this has been great because it's allowed me to sort of dig into things and find out, what is happening in terms of the industry and leading edge, cutting edge technology with all things. And I thought this would be a great time to talk about rain gear because, you know, obviously as a motorcyclist, you're going to get rain once in a while. You're going to ride into some rain, you're going to come home into some rain.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, like the season we had last season. If you didn't ride in the rain, you weren't going to ride. So yeah, definitely, it'll help prolong your riding.
Yeah.
And you want to be dry for sure.
Right. Well, dry also, I think, equates to being safe because
Yes.
if you're being distracted by water running down the back of your neck or pooling in your crotch, you're not concentrating on the ride.
Exactly.
And once it starts to rain, you know, the handling of your motorcycle will change a little bit, and so it requires full attention. So you do want to be comfortable.
So what'd you find?
Well, I can't believe what's out there nowadays. Like for instance, Harley has these gaiters, pull over your boot.
Nothing worse.
Nothing worse than, you know, wet boots, wet feet,
Yeah.
cold, damp. This allows you to pull this right over your boot. I found these gloves. This is sort of the very latest thing in terms of glove technology. They're pre-curved. I mean, not only are these super waterproof, they're also super warm. There's nothing worse than cold hands in
Yeah.
the rain, but they're also pre-curved so that it lessens the amount of
Fatigue.
because you're not forcing your hands to curve around the
And I like those. Those are the gauntlet style. Those are
gauntlet
great.
style. Pull them right over your rainwear.
No water dripping down.
They've got saddle protectors, if you will, so you can pull this over your saddle, keep your saddle dry. They've got crazy things like these gaiters that pull over your crash bars, so now you've got less water coming up on your lower body, wind protection as well.
Additional protection, excellent.
To stay warm and dry.
Yeah.
And then when you get it right into the traditional wet weather gear, you know, rain suits, for instance, you know, some color and some brightness for conspicuity, the 3M piping.
Which is perfect, absolutely. You want to make sure that you're visible because, I mean, obviously it's a little bit darker now with the rain happening. You want to be visible.
And I guess, you know, pants.
The pants, yeah. The other thing is you hook them onto the bottom underneath your boots there. We still have the piping.
Yeah.
And the protection for the heat of the engine. We've got nice smooth here.
Right. And lastly, I mean, I even found a jacket like this one, which just looks like a great all-season, do-anything kind of jacket, you know, textile jacket. But this thing is all sealed up. It's water-resistant, waterproof. It's got the conspicuity. It's just sky's the limit.
Yeah, it's perfect. You know, the color black is still the most popular, but with this retroreflective piping and stuff like that, I mean, that'll light you up.
Being seen is so important.
For sure. And I heard about the warranty. Did you hear about that?
1 year.
I know,
That's
with
incredible.
the rain gear. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're going to be out at your dealer and you're thinking about riding this summer and you want to extend your riding season, there's nothing worse than sitting at the side of the road waiting for the rain to pass. Check out the gear.
Yeah, invest in a good pair in rain gear for sure.
Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. We're all out of time, but be sure to tune in next week when we road test this baby's big brother, the new Honda Goldwing. So till next week, keep your feet on the pegs and your right hand crank. Bye for now.